the year.
It is.
It's Halloween week.
The week of Halloween.
I'm so excited. I'm bummed out that I have to work this year, just like every other year.
Yeah, well, being an adult, what are you going to do? Not trick or treat, obviously.
Well, it's dumb. It's dumb.
Well, this year kind of sucks anyway, so.
Yeah, for real, though. I don't know. Even if I got invited to a Halloween party, let's be real, I would not go.
No, you wouldn't go.
That would be outside of the house, and who wants to do that?
Not you, ever.
It's scary out there. Even Dottie's whining.
Yeah, of course.
No,
she would be. Pay attention to me.
Oh. I'm sorry, everybody. My dog likes to whine a bunch. And welcome to Another Nightmare. I'm Dani, of course.
I'm Brian.
Yay.
Mm-hmm.
So, this week is the best week ever because it's Halloween week.
Oh, Halloween? I didn't know we were going to do a Halloween.
Oh, shut up. I love Halloween. It's my favorite day of the year. It's the best.
It's the best around.
Cannot.
I can do what I want. Come after me.
Don't, please.
That
was rude.
That wasn't rude.
Rude.
How? Oh, okay. Good answer.
Don't you like Halloween, Brian?
Yeah, I like Halloween.
It was always the best. You get to dress up and, like, people give you candy.
Yeah, I liked Halloween.
And all the pumpkins and the crunchy leaves.
It was better as, like, a teenager because...
You go to parties instead of go trick-or-treating?
Yeah, and you actually do scary things rather than just pretend to do scary things.
See, because I always have looked younger than I actually am, I was always blessed with Halloween. When I got into high school, I got the best of both worlds. I got to go trick-or-treating, and then around, 9 or 10, I would go to a party and then go do real creepy shit. So it was, like, the best. And then the trick is you go to the rich neighborhoods with, like, 3 different costumes, because they give you full bars in the rich neighborhoods. And you go with, like, 3 different costumes, and then you change costumes, and you get a ton of candy.
I would not be able to plan it out like that.
Well, you make it like simple switches. Like your first costume is obviously like hobo costume, because then you have a bunch of layers on and then you take off layers as you go and then you change it up. Like maybe bring wings or something, maybe a mask.
You go from hobo to eventually Batman. Weren't you here earlier? No, have you seen The Dark Knight? God.
I'm the Dark Knight. Give me my candy.
Oh my gosh.
But Halloween's the best.
Halloween is pretty awesome, yeah.
Yeah, it's the best day of the year. What do you know about the origins of Halloween?
Well, Halloween was told to me when I was, I think, in elementary school. So, I don't know why you laughed, but it's just a fact. So all I got told was the story of trick or treat, and that it was just hobos going to rich people and being like trick or treat, and then if they didn't give them money, which was the treat, they would fuck up their shit, which was the trick. That's what I was told in like 3rd grade. So I really don't know.
All right. Well, that's a very small part of it. Sorry if you hear that clickety clack. Isabella is just running around all crazy because she doesn't want to be locked in the room. But if we put her out of the room, both her and Dottie go nuts. So
we could just throw them outside.
No, because then they bark at the neighbors' dogs. Because they're brats. Anyways.
Brats.
So, this is going to be our Halloween special episode.
Ooh.
I thought, since it's my favorite holiday, and we based our release of this for October and like everything. I really wanted to cover the history of Halloween for our first Halloween special.
I'm down for that. I love the history part.
Yeah, and history is my favorite subject in the world.
No, it's mine.
It's mine. I mean, it can be more than one person's favorite.
No.
Well,
it's mine.
I guess I'll die.
Not on Halloween.
No, that's the best day to die.
Jeez.
It's when Satan can bring me into his embrace. And we can rule the world together.
You and Satan.
Yeah.
Just hanging out.
Or we can go back to my home planet and rule that planet. Because I'm an alien.
Oh my god.
So, the origin of Halloween dates all the way back about 2,000 years ago to the ancient Celtic festival of Samhain. So that's the one that's spelled Samhain.
Okay.
But the MW combination in the Irish language turns it into a W sound. So a lot of people are going around being like, oh, Samhain is the best. And really it's Samhain. Yeah.
Learn something new every day.
Yeah.
Because I've totally heard of the Samhain, but I did not know it was pronounced Samhain.
Yeah. That's why I've been going around for like 2 weeks yelling Samhain.
Samhain.
So the Celts were the ancient people of Ireland and the UK, and they celebrated their new year on November 1st.
Oh.
So instead of what's our calendar?
The Gregorian
Yeah,
calendar?
That one, the one that we use today.
Okay.
They had it set up differently so that the end of the harvest and the start of the winter was their new year.
Okay.
So, of course, this was the end of the harvest, and it brought on the cold winter, and that time of year was often associated with death because, everything dies.
Mm-hmm.
Most likely your family.
Okay.
And this led to the belief that the night of October 31st was when the veil between the world of the dead and the world of the living was really thin and it was like blurry. And so the ghosts of the dead were able to return to the world of the living.
Okay. I've heard something about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what the whole Samhain festival is based on is, contacting your ancestors again.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So Samhain took place at the midpoint between the fall equinox and the winter solstice. So it was considered the most significant of the 4 quarterly fire festivals.
Okay.
This is when the people let the fires in their hearths burn completely out while they gathered in the harvest. And then once the harvest was complete, a celebration was held where Druid priests would light a huge community bonfire using a wheel that was to represent the sun.
Oh, okay. This is interesting.
Yeah, and then of course it was like a huge party. They sacrificed cattle, and there was a huge feast. And this is actually a thing with a lot of pagan cultures, even Christian cultures for a while, where you would have like this huge feast after the harvest before you would have to store everything and like dry all the meat and stuff. It was like your last fresh meal before you had to go into the winter. And it was like a good way to like fatten yourself up and have stores supposedly in your own body.
All right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So at the end of the celebration, each family in the community would take a flame from that big communal bonfire and they would take it back to their homes to relight their hearth. So
okay,
it was
so
like
a ceremony type.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was like a renewal of the year, and it was supposed to be like good luck.
Bringing the new fire to the hearth.
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome.
So then during this celebration, the Druids were thought to be able to connect with visiting spirits to make better predictions about the future, which for people completely dependent on the natural world were a comfort during the long winter. So Druids were able to contact spirits all the time, but it was better during the Samhain festival because that's when the veil was the thinnest, so communication for the druids was a lot easier.
Right.
The early texts explained that Samhain was a mandatory celebration that lasted about 3 days and 3 nights. The community members were required to show themselves to the local kings or chieftains, and failure to participate was believed to bring punishment from the gods in the form of illness or even death.
Ugh.
So basically, if you decided to sit it out for a year, you're gonna curse your entire community. So yeah.
Better not sit this one out, Freddy.
An introvert like me would be like, this is dumb.
And then they'd make you do it.
Yeah. No, I would have to do it no matter what, or else I would be the pariah.
If you think it's dumb.
Yeah. In Ireland, there was actually a military aspect to the festival.
Oh.
Thrones were prepared for the commanders of soldiers, and anyone who committed a crime or used their weapon during the festival faced a death sentence.
Oh, okay. Yep.
And that actually plays into a lot of like Celtic lore, and like their mythology is like the Samhain festival is like a time where you're not supposed to have your weapons on you, and so like that's a good opportunity for outsiders to like cause chaos and havoc and shit like that. And then like when certain bad spirits come across and like are attacking kingdoms, they're not allowed to use their weapons and stuff like that, so they are kind of defenseless against these bad spirits. Until, you know, an outsider comes in and is like, fuck your rule, I'm gonna chop its head off.
Yeah, seriously.
So
no, I stay strapped at all times. Sorry. This sword ain't going nowhere.
So because the Celts believed that the barrier between the worlds was breachable during Samhain, they left offerings outside of villages and fields for fairies and other visitors. The people also wore costumes, usually of animal skins and heads, so the fairies would not be tempted to kidnap them, which is a huge canon in the mythology of the Celtic people.
People getting kidnapped by furries?
Yeah.
Fairies?
And it's...
Gotcha!
Yeah. But yeah, it's like, you're hard-pressed to find mythology that doesn't include trips to like the fairy realm and stuff like that. Right. And then time works differently in the fairy realm. So you think you spend one night in the fairy realm and then you come back and it's been like 100 years and everybody that you know or cared about is dead. And like, so it was a real fear for these people that like being kidnapped and taken to the fairy realm would just be like the worst devastation possible. This is when the possibility for your child becoming a changeling was like really prevalent and stuff like that. Like these guys were really scared of the spirit and the fairy realm.
Very superstitious.
Yeah. So, and there's like the whole thing of like you can't go around a church counterclockwise because you'll enter the fairy realm and stuff like that.
I don't even know what you're talking about now.
Yeah.
Oh man.
It's great mythology and it's fun, but like, yeah, they were extremely like superstitious of this stuff.
Well, yeah, you can't walk around a church the wrong way.
Yeah.
Or else you're fucked.
So one of the mythological creatures associated with Samhain is called the puka. I think I'm saying that right. This was a shapeshifter that could take on the form of goats, cows, horses, hares, cats, dogs, and even people.
Talk about a damn good shapeshifter. Shit.
Well, you can always tell when they take the form of a human, though, because they usually still have animal features. So that's like another thing.
No.
And that actually spans multiple realms of mythology, as like a shapeshifter is only so good at turning into a human.
Why does that dude have a tail?
Yeah, and like a lot of time it's feet.
Is it 2011?
Back on the furry.
So it's feet. They have a hard time changing their feet?
Well, in some mythology. Some mythologies say it's like feet. Other mythology says that there's, some other feature that they just have a hard time changing. There's the dolphins in South America that in the Amazon that supposedly they can change into human form to try to trick you into coming into like their world.
Ugh.
But they always wear a hat because they can't transform their blowhole. So on the top of their head is a giant hole.
Where the hat, yeah.
Yeah, if you suspect them of being a dolphin, you take off their hat and they have a big giant blowhole, and you're like,
and then
not today,
what
bitch!
do you do? Do you just run? There's a freaking dolphin in front of you that's walking like a human. I'd be out. I'd be like, what the fuck? There's a hole in your head. Then it would have just.
Have you seen those dolphins in
Fuck
the Amazon?
No.
They're pink. They're pink.
Okay.
They're actually kind of cool looking.
That's really. I didn't. Pink dolphins that turn into humans.
But anyways.
And take you into the water.
Mm-hmm.
Who the fuck falls for that?
People in South America.
You know what?
Different cultures.
I'm going. We're going.
Have you heard any of the lumberjack tales? Because, like, some of the tall tales from lumberjacks are, like, really just...
Don't talk about the Washington State history. Stop it.
Hey, it's not just Washington State. It's all over the United States.
Yeah, but no, I haven't heard of lumberjack tales.
Yeah, they have some ridiculous creatures. If you guys are interested, seriously, look up some of the lumberjack creatures because... Holy cow, there are some dumb ones. Also, you can listen to Myths and Legends, that podcast from Jason Weiser, because he talks about a lot of them on his podcast. And, I mean, I recommend that podcast to everybody. Seriously, go listen to Myths and Legends because, seriously, that is my favorite podcast ever. That's why I know a lot about mythology. Anyways, so... These puka have the power of human speech and like to harass wary travelers. To keep one at bay, you had to know how to handle it. So, for instance, if you tried to climb, if it tried to entice you to climb on its back, you had to comply. You'd then get a wild ride, and the creature wouldn't harm you. So, either you get on its back, and you just go for a crazy-ass ride, or it hurts you.
Well, I'm taking that ride, first of all. Once in a lifetime opportunity.
Being faced with any mythological creature is fucking scary, honestly.
But one that offers a free ride? Like, come on. People pay for rides.
That's true.
This one's free and it's terrifying. Who wouldn't?
So in Ireland, the puka seems to have been the most feared fairy because it enjoys creating havoc and mischief.
Sounds pretty cool so far.
So during Samhain, households that wanted to be spared from the creature would leave offerings. And to this day, there are still people who will sprinkle a bit of grain in their yards on Halloween to keep the puka happy.
Hell yeah.
So there are people still carrying on the tradition and being like, not this year, puka. Here's some grain. Go away.
Hell yeah. At least it's still getting some food.
Yeah. So travelers also needed to watch out for the Lady Gwen. This was a forlorn woman who appeared dressed in all white, and she was sometimes headless, evil, and vindictive.
Just because she doesn't have a head makes her evil and vindictive? That's stereotyping.
Well, it's probably just that she was a woman that makes her evil.
Oh. Shots fired.
So, Lady Gwen, she would pretend to be a lost soul, and she would lure and chase any journeymen she caught wandering during the night with her tailless black sow in tow. So she had a big black pig that didn't have a tail.
She just make it chase people?
Yeah,
this is awesome.
Her and her pig would chase people.
After them, piggy!
This is the life I want. I just want to have a giant pig that I can scare people with.
Oh no! It's Lady Gwen and her giant black pig. Run!
If you see her, just pray that she's in a good mood.
That's fucked. There's no hope. No.
Yeah, you don't want to know what she'll do if she catches you. And that's all I heard about it.
That's
I don't
it?
know what she does if she catches you.
Oh, sounds
But
like...
it's bad. You just hope it doesn't happen.
Yeah, Lady Gwen caught me last night. What'd she do? Ah, she just slapped me in the face really hard. It sucked.
I felt like less of a man.
Glad nobody was there. It was really demeaning.
What if she...
And then her pig just laughed at me. It didn't do anything, it just laughed.
What if she fed you to her pig?
Why do you get... That's fucked up.
What? I'm just saying.
Pigs will eat anything.
Yep.
Anyway.
So during the 400-year Roman occupation of the Celtic territory, 2 new festivals were intertwined with Samhain. The first one... Okay, I'm not good at pronouncing things, so don't come after me. The first one was
Well, you gotta say it to mispronounce it right.
Farella?
Farella?
Yep, sure. We'll go with that.
Farella.
Farella.
You can trust me.
A day in late October when the Romans commemorated the dead. The second was...
Farewella. I don't know.
No. It's Feralia.
No, need a W.
Yeah, I don't speak Latin or Italian, so... The second day was to honor Pomona, the goddess of fruit and trees. Her symbol is the apple, and the incorporation of this symbol into the Celtic celebration may actually be the origin of bobbing for apples that people still do today.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah.
What's...
Pomona.
Pomona, okay.
Yeah, she's the goddess of fruit and trees for the Romans.
That's really interesting.
Why are you laughing?
My Pomona.
Oh my god.
I couldn't help it.
Oh, good golly gosh. So, back to it. During the Middle Ages, Samhain began to change, of course.
Just as holidays and festivals do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, over time.
You know, tradition always changes.
Yep.
The massive bonfires became more personal and closer to the farms to protect the families from the fairies and the witches. This is also when they began carving turnips.
Oh gosh, I've seen the pictures of carved turnips.
They're creepy as fuck.
They're not fun.
This is the start of the jack-o'-lanterns, of course.
Yeah.
So the whole jack-o'-lantern myth seems to come from this Irish myth of Stingy Jack.
Stingy?
Stingy Jack.
Okay, Stingy Jack.
So the story of Stingy Jack is about a man who met with the devil while walking down the dirt road drunk one night.
Okay.
Knowing it was his time to go, Jack asked the devil for a few drinks.
Well, time to die. Excuse me, Mr. Devil.
So he asked the devil for a few drinks before they went to hell, and the devil accepted. So they went to the pub, and Jack drank his fill. Then when the bill arrived, he convinced Satan to pay by turning into a silver coin. The devil did.
What?
And Jack stuck him in his pocket with a crucifix, trapping him. Jack made a deal to let Satan out if he would leave him alone for a decade. So 10 years later, the devil found Jack drunk on the road again. This time, Jack asked if he could have an apple before they left for hell, because he was just so hungry. The devil agreed, and Jack convinced him to climb the tree to retrieve the apple because he was just too drunk. So when the devil got up in the tree, Jack carved a cross on the tree trunk and trapped the devil yet again. This time, Jack made a deal that the devil would never take him to hell. When Jack finally died, he went to heaven, but, unsurprisingly, he was turned away. He then went to hell, and Satan kept his promise and did not allow him in.
Uh-oh.
He gave Jack a spare ember to mark his status as an inhabitant of the netherworld. Jack is doomed to roam the realm between the good and evil with nothing but the burning ember in a carved-out turnip to light his way.
Dang.
So, I mean, if you outsmart the devil, eventually it will bite you in the ass.
Sounds about right. Well, I mean, what's worse? Being in hell or just one? I guess. I don't know. This is ridiculous. How is the devil this stupid?
Right? He's always the one to, like, outsmart everybody in every
what
other
the hell?
tale.
He's just like, yeah, I guess I'll turn into a silver dollar and help you pay your tab. Gosh, I want you in hell so bad.
Well, that one I could maybe understand because, like, maybe the devil got a little drunk too and was like,
No, I'm not climbing that fucking tree for you, dude. Come on.
Dude, for real. The second time I came around and he was all like, oh, I'm so hungry. Can I get an apple before we leave? I'd be like, no. I'm not falling for this shit again.
We don't need food where you're going.
I mean, we'll give you an apple when you get to hell. We'll shove it in your ass.
Jeez. Story took a turn.
So this is where the term jack-o'-lantern comes from. They called this ghostly figure Jack of the Lantern.
Oh.
Then it simply morphed into jack-o'-lantern.
Hell yeah.
People in Ireland and Scotland began carving scary faces into turnips and potatoes and placing them in windows or near doors to frighten away Stingy Jack and other wandering evil spirits.
Okay.
Once people began immigrating to the new world, they found the pumpkins, which are native to the Americas and make the perfect jack-o'-lanterns.
Hell yeah. Fuck your turnips.
Dude, the turnip ones are so scary.
I don't like them.
I love them. I'll post some pictures on Instagram for you guys to enjoy.
Pumpkins are way better.
This is also, there is also a connection to trick-or-treating from the Middle Ages. This is where people began dressing as ghosts and demons and other creatures to performing in exchange for food and drink.
Okay, so I did hear a little bit about it.
Yeah. Later, Christianity and even British politics would have their go at shaping the tradition that we know today.
Of course.
Of course, Christianity does. They gotta have their fingers and everything. So during the Middle Ages is when the tradition known as Dumb Supper also began.
Dumb supper?
Dumb Supper.
All right.
This is where food was consumed only after inviting ancestors to join in, which gave the families time to interact with lost loved ones during the meal. Children would play games to entertain the dead, and adults would tell them about the past year's news.
Just having a dumb old time.
Yeah.
You dumb supper. Sorry, can't we have better names? They could have thought a little bit harder.
It was the Middle Ages. Nobody had creativity. They were all too focused on dying.
Okay.
And burning witches.
I believe the term is trying to live.
Unsuccessfully.
Yeah, they weren't good at it.
As Christianity began to spread to the area of the Celts, the church began to attempt to abolish all things that they felt were quote-unquote pagan. This included following the Druids and pagan gods and any festivals tied to indigenous religions and even, if necessary, the people.
Oh.
This is when Christianity just swept through like the plague, and if you did not conform to Christianity, they would just kill you.
Yeah. Good times.
So a lot of pagan societies were not thrilled about the spread of Christianity and tried to fight back. Eventually, they would be incorporated in the new religion because essentially it's you either convert or you die.
Yeah.
And at a certain point, why not just play along? Like, in reality, it's just let them splash some water on you and then you just say you're Christian and you just go about your day.
Yeah.
Because for like the lower people in society, none of that shit mattered. It didn't matter who was sitting on the throne. It didn't matter what religion you were following. None of the shit mattered on the day-to-day. When you were just out there tilling the fucking farms.
Yeah.
Who gave a shit? So, During this time, the biggest sticking point for a lot of the pagans were their holidays. They didn't want to give them up. Even after conversion, they stuck to
celebrating their tradition.
Yeah, they were okay with being baptized and forced to start paying the church and everything that came with the conversion, except for giving up their yearly celebrations, even when threatened with death. So that was their one thing but that's also the one thing that they had, you know?
Yeah.
The rest of the time is just fear and death, but you occasionally get these breaks in, you know, working the land and being afraid and dying to have these fun parties and these big feasts and celebrations. Yeah.
It's like the couple things that you live for.
Yeah. So, like, in reality, these festivals were not only a connection to their heritage, but were something to look forward to in a miserable, mundane, and scary existence.
Mm-hmm.
They were distractions that most people needed, especially those living in the harsh environments of Northern Europe, you know, in the places where people really should have never been living at that time. This did not stop the church, however. And on May 13th, 1609, Pope Boniface IV dedicated the Pantheon in Rome to honor all Christian martyrs and established the Feast of All Martyrs' Day.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Sorry if you hear a bunch of thundering and scratching. Our dogs are out in the living room playing and being hellions. So he attempted to merge Samhain with this new All Martyrs' Day holiday to remove the pagan aspects of the festival. So he attempted to move it from the end of October into May.
What?
Yeah. This did not stop the fire festivals in October and November.
Good.
They just kept having the fire festival.
Good. Fuck him.
Then, in the 9th century, Pope Gregory III expanded the Feast of All Martyrs' Day to include the saints and moved the celebration to November 1st, which he called All Saints' Day.
I've heard of All Saints' Day.
In 1000 current era, the church made November 2nd All Souls' Day, a day to honor the dead.
Oh, November 2nd?
Yes.
Okay.
So November 1st is All Saints' Day, where you celebrate the saints and the martyrs, and then November 2nd is All Souls' Day, where you get to reconnect with lost loved ones.
Okay.
It is believed that this was an attempt by the church to replace the celebration of Samhain and a more church appropriate version.
And this was in the year 1000?
Yes.
Okay, wow.
It was celebrated similarly to Samhain with big bonfires, parades, and people dressing up as saints, angels, and devils. And the All Saints' Day celebration was called All Hallows or All Hallow Mass. And the night before, it became known as All Hallows Eve.
Oh, I've heard of Hallows Eve.
Yeah.
We're starting to hear about things that I know.
So then in Spain around this time, people would bring wine and pan de animas, which is spirit bread.
Ooh, party.
To the graves of their loved ones on All Souls' Day.
Oh, not a party.
They would cover the graves in flowers and light candles to help the souls find their way back home.
Okay.
During the 16th century, as the Spanish conquistadors conquered the New World, they brought this tradition with them, and it eventually blended with the existing pre-Columbian Mesoamerican traditions.
This is rad. It's just freaking going through culture after culture, worming its way through. Mm-hmm. This is awesome.
Their ritual, traditionally held in August, included leaving food, water, and tools for the deceased to complete their journey through the underworld. The blending of these two traditions is what created the modern Dia de los Muertos. I will never say that word correctly. I'm so sorry to Spanish speakers and people who can say that word.
What is it?
Dia de los Muertos. It's the Day of the Dead.
I know.
It's the Day of the fucking Dead.
I just wanted you to say it again.
It's the Day of the goddamn motherfucking dead, and I can't say it.
Muerto?
Yeah, you can probably say it.
Muertos?
Yeah, thank you.
Dias de Muertos?
My mouth doesn't like me.
Wait, one more time?
The Day of the Dead.
There you go.
Go fuck yourself. So anyways, so yeah, that's where that day came from, is this tradition from Spain blending with the existing traditions.
That's rad. I'm that's really cool that it's just freaking civilization meeting, fighting, spreading of traditions in both ways probably.
Mm-hmm.
And then one just coming in and being like, yeah, it's pretty cool, we'll take that. It's a cool part.
So a lot of people believe that the Day of the Dead is like a Mexican Halloween, and that's actually not true. It's kind of different from just, what we think of as Halloween.
Yeah, definitely.
So there are some crossovers with our Halloween, such as costumes and parades, but it's actually more closely related to Samhain than our modern day Halloween. This holiday is celebrated from October 31st through November 2nd. So October 31st is Halloween, and they do have like their own little Halloween celebration.
Okay.
And then November 1st is, here we go, El Día de los Inocentes, the Day of the Children.
Okay.
And is All Saints Day, of course, because, Catholics.
Right.
And then November 2nd is All Souls Day, or the Day of the Dead. And according to this, at midnight on October 31st, the spirits of children get 24 hours to spend with their family, and the same applies to adults on November 2nd. So at midnight on November 1st, the adults get to come in and spend time.
That's pretty rad.
Yeah. I hope I got all of that right. If I didn't, I'm sorry.
We're sorry.
So anyways, in the colonies of New England, Halloween was severely limited due to the rigid Protestant belief system. And it wasn't really until the second half of the 19th century when the United States was flooded with Irish immigrants fleeing from the potato famine that Halloween actually started to become a popular holiday in the States.
Okay.
So, of course, Protestants, it's fun, we won't do it. If you celebrate Halloween, you're the devil. If you laugh or enjoy your life, you're the devil.
Oh, God.
I mean, just think about the Salem witch trials and all of that garbage.
There was deeper meanings.
Yes. So as more and more people began celebrating Halloween, there was a movement in the U.S. to brand it as a celebration of the community and neighborly get-togethers rather than ghosts, pranks, and witchcraft. People were encouraged to remove anything frightening or grotesque from the holiday. Oh. This is the reason Halloween lost most of its superstitions and religious overtones by the start of the 20th century.
Okay.
So a lot of that deeper connection was removed in America because they wanted it to be more of like a community thing and
more of a kids' holiday.
Yeah, I guess. Like more white bread.
Just a little bit dumbed down for you.
Yeah, really though.
Okay.
So in England, Halloween stopped being celebrated for the most part due to Martin Luther's Protestant Reformation. The new religion didn't believe in saints and had no reason to celebrate All Saints' Day or All Hallows' Eve.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, why celebrate something when you don't believe in it?
Yeah.
Even if the rest of the world's cooler than you.
Well, and I mean, this is the Protestants that came to America and founded all this stuff. I mean, the Puritans that came to America are the ones that were the more pure form, quote unquote.
Yeah, you don't even want to talk to them.
Of like the Protestants,
Those ones scare me the most. It's the Puritans.
Yeah, well, that's why they left England, is because like England was getting too filthy and too vile because they wanted to be too French. So the Puritans came to America being like, we will find a holy nation where God will shine and we'll all die. So, England did eventually find a new autumn ritual. So, on November 5th, 1605, a plot to blow up the Parliament building and the Protestant King James was uncovered.
No!
A man named Guy Fawkes was arrested and executed for the conspiracy 1 year later on November 5th, 1606.
I've seen this movie.
This is deeper than V for Vendetta, although that is a good movie.
I know.
And a good graphic novel.
It's a joke. You made me sound dumb.
So directly following his execution, a celebration called Guy Fawkes Day was starting to take shape.
Hell yeah.
Bonfires were set up to burn effigies and symbolic bones. There we go. Of the Catholic Pope.
Blasphemy.
Well, I mean, they're not Catholic. They're Protestant.
Blasphemy.
So about 2 centuries later, the effigies of the Pope were replaced by ones of Guy Fawkes. In addition, children began carrying effigies through the street and would ask people for a penny for the guy.
Oh, okay.
So a penny for Guy Fawkes, you know.
Okay.
This is another thing that led to modern day trick-or-treating.
I had no idea. I didn't know we were going to bring in Guy Fawkes into this episode.
I know. Everything's connected. It's amazing.
Everything.
All the best stuff. And Guy Fawkes, I feel really bad for because, honestly, like with that whole conspiracy, I think he was just kind of a fall guy.
Probably. I mean...
There were so many big names attached to that whole thing that just the one guy being blamed for it, like...
It's ridiculous.
A little bit.
That's what Protestants do.
Oh my God.
Sorry.
So, other practices that brought about the modern day trick-or-treating were called souling and guising. Souling was the practice of poor people visiting the houses of wealthier families during All Souls Day. So, like what you talked about.
Oh, I said that.
They would be given pastries known as soul cakes in exchange for a promise to pray for the souls of the homeowner's dead relatives.
Okay.
This practice...
I want some cake.
Well, they're pastries. Which are better than cake.
Get out.
Love pastries.
There's the door.
No. It's too far away. This practice was later taken up by children going door to door asking for gifts such as food, money, and ale.
Definitely the ale one. That's what I want.
Children asking for ale.
Good.
Different times.
Better times.
So guising was a tradition from Scotland and Ireland in which young people dressed up in costumes and accepted offerings from various households. Instead of returning the favor with promises of prayers, they would sing a song, recite a poem, tell a joke, or perform another trick before collecting their treat.
So they'd have to do something.
Yeah.
Unlike
you would perform a little bit, and then they would give you a special little treat.
All right. That's pretty cool. Way better than what we have to do today.
What, just ring a doorbell and say, trick or treat?
Yeah. Then you just got to give candy away. You spend money on that
there's
candy.
always that one creepy guy that's like, where's my trick?
What the hell? What one creepy guy?
Oh, I guess I was a girl, so yeah. There's always at least one creepy guy every Halloween that you would come to the door and be like, trick or treat.
Well,
and then
I'm a boy, so I don't have to deal with shit like that.
Yeah, no, he probably like threw the candy in your face and was like, "Arr."
Get out of here. and I just wide-eyed, thank you. Thanks for the candy.
So
where's my trick?
Yeah.
You took it down a dark road and I don't like it. Let's just move on.
So these two traditions, souling and guising, were revived in Irish and Scottish communities in the United States in the early 20th century.
Okay.
By the 1920s, however, pranks had become the preferred Halloween activity for rowdy young people.
Yes!
The Great Depression only added to the problem, with mischief often devolving into vandalism, physical assault, and acts of violence.
Well, civil unrest. It's what happens.
Yeah. The Depression was not a good time for anybody.
No.
Except the rich people who were like, there's a depression. More brandy, please.
Top drawer.
Tight butthole.
Oh my God. I bought another hat today.
Yes, I saw the poor on the street and they smelled. So in the 1930s, there was a movement in place towards organized community-based trick-or-treating, but this was abruptly interrupted by the outbreak of World War II, when sugar rationing meant there were fewer treats available. I'm actually kind of glad the dogs aren't in here for all the times that I have said the T word, because they would...
Yeah, it'd be bad.
They would be demanding treats.
It'd be so much whining. I'd be going insane.
Izzy demands treats even when we don't say it.
Yeah, as soon as you walk in the door. I get one now, right? I saw you for the first time today. Oh my God, get one, right?
You don't even have to walk through the door. You just sit on the couch and you look in her direction, and all of a sudden she's like, what? Treat? I get one?
You looked at me and then you looked towards the kitchen. That means...
I know I'm sitting in front of the kitchen, but that means I get a treat, right? I love our
She's
dogs.
probably dying right outside the door. You said it so many times.
Anyway, so the sugar rationing led to less treats and kind of put a damper on the whole community trick-or-treating and shit.
Darn it. Darn war.
Yeah, stupid Hitler. What a douche.
Took my fucking candy away. No, sorry.
The effort finally took hold at the height of the post-war baby boom and quickly became standard practice for millions of children in the United States today. So,
wow.
Americans, this is my favorite thing that I found out because it's disgusting.
Oh, great.
Americans spend an estimated $6 billion annually on Halloween. $2.6 billion of which is spent on candy alone.
Oh my God.
Yeah. We're ridiculous. This makes Halloween the second largest commercial holiday in the United States after Christmas.
Right, as soon as, I was going to say, well, Christmas is the only other one.
Yeah. Because let's face it.
So you just said $6 billion?
$6 billion on Halloween and $2.6 billion just on candy.
So half of that, $6 billion, is candy.
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh my.
The rest of it is for house decorations and costumes and makeup and all that other wonderful goodness.
That's fucking awesome. Oh, man.
So.
Wonder what it's going to be like this year.
Different.
Different.
So let's talk about some old Halloween traditions and lesser known rituals that used to be a part of the holiday. So a lot of these were focused on the future instead of the past and the living instead of the dead. Many of these rituals had to do with helping young women identify their future husbands.
Whoa. This changed. This took a turn. This is an old tradition?
Yeah, these are old, like, lesser-known Halloween traditions that
all right.
people used to practice.
Okay.
So,
this makes sense.
And, of course, girls are always like, who am I going to marry? I hope it's Timmy from down the street.
Timmy sucks.
Yeah, but he's hot. So, in Scotland, fortune tellers recommended that an eligible young woman name a hazelnut for each of her suitors and then toss the nuts into the fireplace.
I like Ben, Greg, and Martin. Into the fire!
I mean, that's what she should have done. Just toss them into the fireplace and walk away.
It's fuckboys.
The nut that burned to ash rather than popping represented the girl's future husband.
What if they all did it?
then you haven't met your future husband? Or you're just going to die alone.
That's what I was leaning towards.
There are other versions of the ritual that would have it the other way, where the ones that burn to ash symbolize a love that would not last.
Okay.
Which to me kind of makes more sense, that like if it burns all the way into ash,
yeah.
You know.
But if it pops, it's going to be on fire. It's popping up in here. This relationship is popping. Okay.
Another tale said that if a young woman ate a sugary concoction made of walnuts, hazelnuts, and nutmeg before bed on Halloween night, she would dream of her future husband.
Okay.
Girls do weird things. I mean...
Well, humans do weird things.
Yeah, that's true.
But
I remember in, like, middle school, 9 times out of 10, when you played, like... When you had, like, special games with your girlfriends, it was always, like, you know, like that MASH, like, mansion, apartment, shack, or house game. Yeah, I don't think you would know it because you're a guy, but we would play these games where it was like you would list out your crush and then you would do like these things to like figure out like if you're gonna get to marry your crush and like if you guys get to live in a mansion and how many kids you have. And
here I was just playing video games and playing outside and having a good time. What was I doing wrong? I could have been talking about Jenny.
Well, and then, of course, like, once Ouija boards became a thing in, like, middle school and we got a little bit darker, a lot of my girlfriends would still be like...
Going through that middle school angst. Let's get a Ouija board. Fuck yeah.
But then you bust out the Ouija board and you're still like, who am I going to marry?
God! No.
That's just the thing that girls do.
It's just... we ask the same questions. The tools just change.
I mean, we can really move away from that because it's, you know, it's unnecessary for girls to be so obsessed with who they're going to marry. Like, be happy with yourself, girl. Shut up.
Sorry, I just never seen you say stuff like that before. Be yourself, girl.
So, young women also tossed apple peels over their shoulder, hoping it would fall on the floor in the shape of their future husband's initials.
What the fuck?
There was another one involving apples that my mom taught me, and it's when you get an apple and you have like the stem, right?
Yeah.
You grab onto the stem and then you twist the apple, and each twist you say the alphabet. So you're like A, B, C, and when the stem finally breaks off the apple, that's the letter of the first name of the person you're going to marry.
Wow. This is just amazing. I'm learning so many new things. My parents never told me anything like that. Never ever. Like, oh my God.
No, they just told you to go outside and then you lift
a
giant rock at 2 years old and get
go
a hernia.
outside. Leave me alone. Okay. You talking about my hernia?
Yeah.
Get out.
I totally missed
It's my hernia. It's nobody else's hernia. Just because I'm a badass. Jeez.
Just 2-year-old Brian trying to lift rocks.
It was a rock that I needed to move.
Oh, man. So, women would also try to learn about their futures by looking at egg yolks floating in a bowl of water.
All this future shit. I need to know.
Well, this is why, like, this is, like, a lot of, like, the whole witchcraft thing is because, like, girls have always been into, like, fortune-telling. And, like, let's face it, a lot of human history was into fortune-telling. Oh, you know, just like we said, the druids were, like, fortune-tellers. And you would go to your druid to be like, what's happening in my life? And this is just new shit that people learn to try to tell the fortune. I mean, the Ouija board, it's part contact your ancestors, part learn your future.
Psychics still make a killing in, like, you know, L.A.
Everywhere.
No, I know. Just
like, literally everywhere.
No, yeah, they still make a shitload
you know,
of money.
Palm readers, tea leaves,
I get that, like,
tarot cards.
at some point, it's just fun to do those activities. It's kind of fun and cool to go to a psychic or to a palm reader and all that stuff. It's just cool.
But when you're staring at egg yolks floating in a bowl of water,
What the fuck are you
you've derailed
doing?
a little bit.
Oh man, this egg yolk looks pretty. Looks a lot like Gary. So I'm gonna go talk to Gary tomorrow. And then tell him the yolk. The yolk's what told me. The white said the name, but then the yolk was like, "Go see Gary." What the fuck is going on?
Yet another tradition had them stand in front of mirrors in darkened rooms, holding candles and looking over their shoulder for their husbands' faces. This tradition,
I think I know where this one goes.
Is actually tied to the popular Bloody Mary
I
ritual.
knew it. I'm fucking standing in the dark in front of a mirror. What else are they gonna do?
Bloody Mary, Bloody Mary, Bloody
Oh, you actually are
Mary.
gonna say it a third time.
I'm not looking at a mirror. I'm fine.
You got a screen. You fucked.
It's not a mirror.
Let me just stand in the dark. Look, oh my god, Jason!
See, I don't like looking in mirrors in the dark, though, because, like, mirrors scare the shit out of me.
It's just because they're portals to the netherworld. Don't worry about it.
Dude, for real, though.
I was just messing around. Okay.
So
that's where Bloody Mary came from. That's pretty cool.
that's part of the Bloody Mary.
Right. I'm sure there's other
Yeah, we'll
urban
probably
legends.
talk about Bloody Mary and other, weird
urban legends and stuff.
in games like that.
Yeah.
Because there's the elevator game and, like...
We don't talk about the elevator game. No.
That one's not as scary as some of the other ones, though.
Well, is it the one where you go to a different realm?
Yeah.
Then yeah, it's terrifying.
And that's the one that supposedly Elisa Lam was trying to play when she had her
I know.
thing. But no, there's another one where it's like you submerge yourself in a tub and then you invite this it's like the extreme hide. It's like extreme hide and seek with like a fucking entity, and you invite it in your home, and then you have to run through your home and try to hide from it until midnight, and then you have to undo the ritual to send it back and shit like that. Yeah, there's other really scary games that are way worse than Bloody Mary or the elevator game, and we will for sure talk about those at some point. Because, they get creepy as fuck.
Well, if you're inviting entities and then running around your home at night trying to hide from them. What the...
With, a candle, yeah.
Oh, I got this candle. It's my only safe zone.
Yeah. So, at some Halloween parties, the first guest to find a burr on a chestnut hunt would be the first one to marry.
Is the burr the spiky ball thing?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
And at others, the first to marry would be the first successful apple bobber. So bring in damn apples back around.
damn, I was so bad at apple bobbing.
I don't have a large enough mouth.
That's what she said.
Oh.
Sorry.
No, but
everybody.
I've always had I'm a smaller person, so I've always had a smaller mouth. But then when I fucked up my jaw, I can't open my mouth wide enough. I can barely open my mouth wide enough to eat a sandwich. There's no fucking way I could get an apple while bobbing for apples. Plus, I can't bite into apple skin because I'm weak.
So many excuses. Gosh.
I know.
You just stick your head in all the way and force an apple to the ground bottom.
You just stick your head all the way in and breathe deep.
Okay. All right. Everybody bobs for apples differently.
I don't know what I'm doing wrong.
She's been in there for a minute. Somebody pull her out.
The Office when Aaron just... I ate two. I ate apples.
2 whole apples. Oh, man. Okay. So, that's how you tell who your husband is going to be.
Yep.
Bobbing for apples. Well, you got 2 apples.
Well, no, that's not how you tell who your husband's going to be. That's how you find out who's the first person at the party that's going to get married. It's like tossing the bouquet. Who's going to get married next?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Just coming up with more ways. Humans were bored.
Yeah. But see, this was a manlier way for guys to get in on the action, too. Is oh, I can bob
Stick
for
your
that
head
apple.
in that water. Okay. Oh, man.
So, yeah, that's where Halloween comes from. And all them weird traditions.
Hallows Eve. Wow, that was very informative.
Yeah.
I learned a lot. Some of the stuff I didn't know you were gonna bring up.
Yeah. Well, and then of course there's like the whole modern day like witchcraft and pagan movements that are bringing Samhain back and like trying to reconnect back to those older traditions like that.
Hell yeah.
And it's really awesome. It's amazing to see all of that stuff coming up, and
we should at least keep the good ones.
I wish we had better connection to like pagan past and pagan rituals, but like,
oh yeah,
unfortunately the majority of those cultures were illiterate, and so their traditions, if they were ever written down, weren't written down until like hundreds of years later, and they were highly Christianized.
Yep. And that's just how history has worked out for us.
Yeah, no, it's like, it's a real big bummer. And like, in all honesty, if I had a time machine, I would be real tempted to go back and like talk to some pagans, even though they would probably kill me.
Yeah, that's why you just go back with like a bunch of guns, and then you just like,
What?
you shoot one of them, and then you're like, you don't fuck with me, okay? And
you shoot one, and then you're like, tell me your traditions.
This is my magical fire stick. No, you can't speak my language. Shit.
Oh, that would be my hang up too.
That'd be the worst part. Like, you try and talk to somebody that...
You can't even go back to like medieval like England and be able to communicate, because the language, like the English language, has changed so much.
Old English is... Old English isn't even that old, and it's super hard to understand.
Yeah. It's weird.
Ridiculous.
It doesn't even sound like it doesn't even sound like it's related at all.
Yeah.
It's so different.
Speaking of related. This has nothing to do with Halloween.
Whatever. We can talk about what we want to talk about.
Yeah,
this
it's
is
our
podcast.
Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this Halloween episode, and I hope you know a little bit more about Halloween now.
Yeah. So we still have not gotten any listener stories to share with you guys, but
we'd love to hear them. We are going to start putting out stories of our own and stories of family and friends to get it going. Yeah. We need listener stories.
Yeah, so, we will start with some of our own stories for now, like maybe not on this episode. Yeah, we're not doing it this episode. But, next week we'll tell you some of our stories, and yeah, just send us your personal experiences, and it can be, ghosts, it can be aliens, maybe you saw Bigfoot,
any other cryptid.
Anything that you think is cool and that you want to share with the podcast that,
random happenstances that you just can't explain.
Yeah, breaks in the Matrix, because those are super fun stories. I love breaks in the Matrix.
They're terrifying.
So yeah, go ahead and send those in. You can email them to us, anothernightmarepod@gmail.com. It's all one word, anothernightmarepod@gmail.com. So send us your freaking stories, guys, because, like, for real, I want to hear your stories.
Yeah, we want to get to know our listeners a little bit better and have their weird, unexplained experiences told on here.
Plus, personal ghost stories are way better than, talking about, like, the places that we cover on the podcast and talking about those ghosts. Because, like, you get that personal story, and it's, like,
kind of becomes real.
Yeah.
A little bit more.
Because, on here, like, with, like, covering the ancient ram, we can only kind of cover, what people have experienced, but we don't have those personal experiences.
So if someone ever goes to the Ancient Ram Inn and then wants to send us their experience, that would be awesome.
That would be so dope.
Same with all the other places, because honestly, I would love to go to each and every one of them. I want to experience it myself, but that's money.
Yeah, and travel, which we're not allowed to do right now. You can also send us suggestions for story ideas. in the future. And we have a Facebook page now too, so you can definitely message us there as well. You can just look for our page, Another Nightmare Podcast.
You'll find it.
Hopefully. And then, yeah, you can send us your suggestions there. We're also going to maybe start posting on that page about, just creepy stories that we come across, or sharing photos and things like that. And so if you want to come be a part of the community, just head over and like the page and follow us, and it'll be fun. I might actually make a Facebook group here soon, and then that will be a special little community place where it's a little bit more private, and we can share all the spooky stuff
and the memes.
Yeah,
the memes.
So many memes. If you've been on our Instagram, you can see all the memes that I've been sharing.
Well,
and then speaking of our Instagram, you can follow us on Instagram and Twitter. Just search for Another Nightmare Podcast on those, and you'll be able to find us there. You can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at ofakya. That's OFAKYA if you're interested. I will maybe get around to posting again on those one day. Possibly.
Maybe.
And yeah, we are really excited to have you guys listening in. And you can also leave us a rating and review on Apple Podcasts. That really helps us get out there, helps more people find our podcast. And it also lets us know how we're doing as a podcast. And if you guys have suggestions, not just about topics that we could cover, but suggestions to possibly make this show better, send them in, because we want this show to be awesome. We want to build a community with this show, and we want you guys to feel like you're more a part of the show than just sitting there listening. So definitely rate and review us wherever you're listening to us, especially if you're on Apple Podcasts, because it really helps us get out there, helps us build that community a little bit better. And yeah, helps us get seen in the world of podcasts, where there's millions of them out there.
Help!
But we really appreciate each and every one of you guys tuning in and listening to us, and we're excited to have you guys with us and
just want to say thanks.
Share our spooky stories. So we'll see you guys next week.
Oh yeah,
we got a fun story next week.
You want to give me a little hint?
It's in Europe.
Fine.
It's in the underground of Europe.
Oh my god, I'm excited.
There's dead bodies.
All right, no more.
All right, so we'll see you guys all next week.
See you next week.
Bye.
Lates.